Hi folks, it's Wednesday afternoon. I've just come into the gallery to collect a few paintings and collect some new ones from Carl Nib, so I thought it would be a good opportunity now to do a virtual tour of the gallery, and let's show you what we've got. So without further ado, I shall go outside and take you around. So out through that door, over to our display window on the right hand side, and top right here is a small oil 6x8, sorry, an 8x10 oil by Alan Oliver, a local artist, and beneath that watercolour by Trevor Lingard. In the middle, another watercolour by Alan Oliver of Stamford, line and wash, and a pastel by Alan Oliver of Russell and Water. Beneath that, oil painting by Nigel Fletcher, Tyso, village near where Nigel lives. And let's take you past the plants round to our end window. And there's a large monochrome oil by Jamal Akib, one of his series of jazz paintings that we've sold quite a lot of. Superb. And beneath that, panoramic oil of mine of Burnham Overy Staithe in Norfolk. And a window here, one of Jamal Akib's hummingbirds. But that you can feel the flutter of those wings. Superb brushwork. And to the right of that, an oil painting of mine of Mousel in Cornwall. And over here, so we enter a large pastel of mine of Portree Harbour on the Isle of Skye. Went up there a few years ago, Jane and I. And beneath here is a watercolour by Robert Bashford. There's a bit of snow last week around here. And there's a panoramic shaped oil by Nigel Fletcher again of the Thames at Abingdon. Beautifully loosely painted oil painting. And another one above it. Look at those geese and that one in the centre of the pack there, just stretching its wings, so beautifully painted. Really sets it off, the focal point. And now round to the right, a large pastel of mine of a longhorn cow. Do like painting these occasional portraits of animals, farm animals and such like. And now here on the other side of the window display is another monochromatic oil by Jamal Akib. Wonderful brushwork again. Look at the movement there, he's depicted, just sensational. And beneath that, an oil by local artist Terry Preen, Southwold, Sundown. Excellent work. Next to that, a new oil by Peter Barker, whoever he is, of Dudlington Bridge. When we had the Beast from the East, he used a reference photo from a couple of years ago. Beneath that, Trevor Lingard watercolour of the boats at Derwent Water. And above the radiator here, a new oil of mine, the Derwent at Borrowdale, another Lake District one, and above that another watercolour by Terry Preen of Dovedale. A group of us went and had a paint out at Dovedale several weeks ago, probably months now. It was beautifully warm. That was a result of that, and that's above that, this one is Graham Webber, little oil. little oil by yours truly, Castle Crag above Grange in Borrowdale. Now around here we have our newest recruit, Tom Shepherd. Tom is from Warwickshire, shortly moving to Wales, South Wales, but we've got some of his watercolours. Look at that. Scarlet Macaw, beautifully painted, crisp highlights of the eye and the beak. And similarly on this one, Kingfisher. And in the middle, this great one of a raven. Look how loosely described the feet and the tail are, but how crisp the head is painted, the real focal point. Look at that eye. Isn't that fantastic? And he's left lots of space. Beautifully crafted watercolour. And another one of Tom's Eagle Owl. We sold a big Eagle Owl the other day, and this is a smaller one left. Complementary colours there of blue and orange, sets the painting off so beautifully. And there's a Trevor Lingard, unmistakably Venice. Great control, wet in wet washes. And here another watercolour by Alan Oliver, line and wash of Stamford again. And an oil here of mine, Frost Spangles, Local Woodland. Did that one as a demo. And over here, the left corner of the large wall, this is in honour of Puccini. That's the statue of Puccini. And look how much white paper Trevor's left there. It's just brilliant. Everything is described, but so little put on the paper. Just wonderful. Just a few marks. Touch of a master, and the same at the top. Pomp and ceremony. You can feel how gold those helmets are to guardsmen. Wonderful. Now we have a row of 3 oils by Nigel Fletcher again. This one, sorry about the glare from the spotlights. This is Blenheim Palace. Evening light, lovely orange glow on the buildings and the trees. And below that, Kingham in the Cotswolds, near where Nigel lives. At the bottom, Chipping Norton, affectionately known to all from that area as Chippy, of course. Chippy, dear old Chippy. And now we've got a big oil, 24 by 36 by Jamila Kib, this time full of colour. A streak of orange and electric blue of the kingfisher, which is usually all you see of the bird. Often hear it, but don't often see it. Above that, another Jasleen painting by Tom Shepherd again, this time in watercolour. Beautifully described using the white paper and loose washes. Next to them we've got 5 of mine. This is a pastel of River Welland. Excuse the green reflected spotlights on the glass. This is an oil of the River Nene, summer evening near Water Newton. And beneath that, lots of you who know Cornwall well will recognise this as Mousel Harbour Lights and Half Light. There's some paintings here that I've just sold. There's the big eagle owl I was talking about, and one of Carl Nib just brought this in. It's sold before it's even reached the gallery. And above that, a big oil of mine of Local Woodland. If I close in, you can see the deer, the crest of the hill there. Love painting winter scenes. Colours are so subtle, lots of blues and oranges and purples. And at the top, a pastel of Thorne. And around to the right, above our little kitchen door, is Another oil by Terry Preen, looking straight into the light, bright morning Southwold. Everything thrown into silhouette, dramatic lighting, and the top next to that, Silverlight Pin Mill in Suffolk by Graham Webber. I'm amazed this one hasn't sold yet. And below that, an absolutely masterful watercolour, beautifully subtle colours and just exquisitely painted by David Curtis, no less. And beneath that, Rarer Than Hen's Teeth, a watercolour by yours truly, of Preston in Rutland, that is, not Preston in Lancashire. I get my watercolours out about every 6 or 7 years, and this one, another one of mine, of Grasmere in the Lake District, the moody sky. And round to the right here by the door, a couple more of mine as I hit the Christmas decorations. And this one is from a trip to the Scilly Isles a couple of years ago. That's lovely light effect, Hewtown Harbour, St Mary's. And above that, another painting from our trip to the Peak District. A group of us went up there. Howling gale, I could barely stand up on the top of this hill. Doesn't show in the paint. And 2 more watercolours of Travelling Guards. Again, look how well described those horses are. Hardly any strokes, but it's absolutely perfectly described, those horses. Look at the rump, it's just wonderful. A rare facility. Wonderful watercolour painted Trevor is, and at the top, another one, that one's called Going for Goal, for obvious reasons. Kids using mother's washing line as the goalpost. I bet she'd be pleased when they kick the ball into the new washing. And round here, 2 more oils by Terry Preen, this one glowing with sunlight, La Rochelle, and beneath that, a painting of Uppingham Town, just around the corner from the gallery, on a duller day, but beautifully described. Now we go through into the smaller rooms, and here's another fabulous oil painting by David Curtis. David uses such subtle tones in his paintings. The darks are singing with light. And above that, a new one of mine, Tintin Abbey. Of course, those of you who remember Terry Wogan in his radio show, his standing joke was his producer Paulie Walters saying Tintin Abbey. Wogan was saying "Tis." And here's another oil by David Curtis. Simple little scene of Crinan Harbour. Look at the lights on those windows reflecting early sunlight. And beneath that, that's Seville singing with sunlight. Beautifully described. Around here we've got some new work by Mark Preston from Derbyshire. These scenes are from Derbyshire. And this one above, diagonally to the right. Wonderful one. Just love this painting. You just want to walk up that path. Look at the blue shadows of the puddles reflecting the blue sky. And if you like texture in your paintings, you've got tons here. The camera can pick it up, look at that. Mark paints in acrylic, so a lot of this is palette knife work, because all his work outside. And there's another one of mine from the Peak District. I'll trip up there. A group of painters, about 8 of us went up there. Excellent. Not that my painting's excellent, it was excellent painting up there, despite the wind. And here, a brand new one brought in by Carl Nibb, a moody one. Look at the light on that building. called The Day Begins, early morning, and when you get that low winter sunlight bouncing off buildings, just fabulous. Halos of light around the people, and here another couple of Mark Prestons called Red Hawthorne, Old Thorpe Height, and another one here. Do you just want to walk up that path? Again, Derbyshire, Ashley Hay, and around to the right is another panoramic shaped oil by Nigel Fletcher of Ascot under Wychwood, which sounds like it should be in a novel, doesn't it? I love the name, Ascot under Wychwood. Bounces off the tongue, and again in the Cotswolds, and you'll see a few Morris Minors in this painting. And there's a garage there that specialises in Morris Minor repairs, and that lovely light appealed to Nigel and made a very effective painting out of it. And here you might recognise this. It is Willy Lott's Cottage, made famous by John Constable's painting. This one's by Alan Oliver, line and wash with big broad strokes of watercolour. Another experimental piece, beautifully done. And amazingly, here's another one of Willy Lott's Cottage, this time by Nigel Fletcher. Nigel's take on an oil painting in this case. And above that, a little oil of mine, a 6x8 of Portree Harbour on the sky. And another one there of mine. Stormy sky near Caldecott. And oops, too much glare there. There's another one of Nigel's called Moonlit Plot, an orange moon. Saw exactly that the other night, bright orange moon. Now what about that? Want to wake you up in the morning? By Jamala Kib. Look at those eyes. Everything's described loosely with big brushes, but the eyes are crisp and piercing. The title of it is Burning Bright. And another one of Jamal's Conte drawings of elephant. And look at the bottom of the trunk. It's just barely described, just a smudge of Conte. Give that impression of the trunk swinging. And around here, brand new painting just in this morning by Carl Nib. Look at that. Isn't that just fantastic? Cattle on the Blythe, an acrylic painting. And below that, another one of Jamal Akib's Hummingbirds. That'll brighten up anybody's day. Singing with colour and movement. And next to them, what we have left of Jenny Aitkins. Jenny's been selling like hotcakes recently. Hardly surprisingly, look at that beautifully painted seascape. Breakers coming in. And this one, Jenny loves painting into the light, and it shows watching owls at sunset, Ribble Valley. Can't see any owls, but Jenny shows me there were owls there. And this one is from Peak District, from our day painting up there. And a little one beneath. Amazing, we haven't sold this one. Summer Sailing, 8x8, just brilliant. Lovely, subtle, greeny tones. And beneath that, this one is by Richard Thorne, Devon artist. Glowing with colour, Lake Sparkle, that one. And above to the left, two more of Richard's. Look at the colour he packs in his paintings, just singing with colour. Two Cornish ones, wonderfully painted barn. And finish up with this one of Carl Nibs. Another absolutely brilliant painting. People, look at the halo of light around all those heads. Just brilliant. So anyway, that's it. Hope you've enjoyed that. And better still come into the gallery, of course, to see them in the flesh, Fridays and Saturdays, but there we are. That's giving you a general flavour. But everything, of course, is online at www.peterbarkerfineart.co.uk. So I'll call that a day and hope to see you in the gallery soon. Thank you. Thanks for watching.